The timeline didn't just light up, it exploded. Because when Jasmin Brown decided to open her mouth and tell her truth, she didn't just vent, she cracked open a conversation nobody expected to have about Cam Newton of all people. And the reason it hit so hard is simple. This wasn't shade. This wasn't sneak dissing. And this wasn't a random post. This was personal, raw, unfiltered. And the subtext was loud enough to rattle the walls. Jasmin is already deep in it. She's Cam Newton's partner. She's already had 2 children with him, welcoming their second baby back in October 2025, and she's raising them while the world watches. That alone keeps her under a microscope. But what she said next is what changed the entire tone.
What does a submissive woman do for her man?
Everything. What does that mean? You know, like packing his bag, unpacking his bag, just making sure all the things that he wants. And I pretty much read his mind. So it's like, if I know you and I study you, like I know how you are in the morning, I know how you are about midday, I know when you're in this mood, what you need. Like before you can ever ask me for something, I'm already on it. I mean, he's spoiled. Boy, it is my joy. You know, I love to see him eating the meal that I cook. I love seeing him sleep easy. Every night, like clockwork, I scratch this man's back to sleep. And I know when he's asleep because I can tell when his breathing changes. And some people might think that's psychotic, but that's like, I just know that's when I'm like, oh, I can stop now. But I find joy in being your rest.
She admitted she feels afraid at the thought of raising a son. Not because she doesn't love her children, not because she regrets motherhood, but because she knows herself well enough to admit something uncomfortable. That if she were raising a boy, she might subconsciously try to mold him into the kind of man she never actually had in her own life. And that confession stopped people in their tracks. Because once you really sit with that, it's not just about motherhood. It's about heartbreak. It's about disappointment. It's about realizing that the man you chose, the man you built a family with, isn't giving you what you needed. And now you're terrified of passing that emotional weight onto a child.
Do you see yourself marrying her?
To your point,
Yeah.
marriage
Yes.
is not the ultimate goal for me.
Yes.
I do want to get married.
Well, that's good.
I do, but listen, so the thing about that word of, well, marry the girl, I'm not saying that to you directly. I'm
Right.
saying that to the people who see this and their response. We're so trauma bond by this thought of get married, have kids.
Yeah.
That's the way that the propaganda of life that everybody has been putting in our faces to say, okay, get married, have kids, whatever. Not, or overlooking or not identifying that that's still a way for the devil to dwell in.
You know, I have to say, so marriage for me, when I think about marriage, right, we have to understand that, first of all, a marriage license, which is different from marriage, but I think a lot of people, wow.
Pick-me's are women who try to do everything right just so a man can choose me. Yeah, cut that shit out. Cause I'm gonna keep it real with you. Men already know what they want in a woman and who they want. But if you're so nurturing and you're an asset and it's not you, they'll never tell you to stop doing what you're doing because it's beneficial. And I don't want to hear none of that shit like, oh, I'm just a nice person. I'm genuinely like that. Well, bitch, you gonna genuinely get played. No, it's just that I'm just naturally like that. Like the shit I do for him is natural. And your natural ass is gonna get played. If you are making a man's life easier, i.e. cooking, cleaning, providing pussy whenever he wants, and he's giving you the minimum, he's never going to do more. And he's never gonna tell you to stop because it's beneficial to him. No history in niggerdom ever has a man been like, oh, stop doing all this stuff. Stop making my life easier. I don't look at you like that. Hell no, they gonna kick their motherfucking feet up and enjoy these perks without doing no work.
She didn't sugarcoat it. She didn't dress it up in motivational language. She called it traumatic. She said the pressure people put on her, constantly telling her there's no love like a son's love, doesn't comfort her. It overwhelms her. It makes her spiral. It makes her question why she's being pushed toward a narrative she doesn't even feel ready to carry. And right there, without saying his name, the spotlight turned directly toward Cam.
Get straight into the shit, because I'm gonna tell you like this. Ladies, stop letting that man spin the block on you. Stop letting him do it. Why? Why are you taking it back every time? Well, he said this time was gonna be different. He said that he ready for commitment. He said anything he need to say to keep getting it. How are you supposed to find your husband and your soulmate if you keep letting little Dusty, little Raggedy spin the block on you? Spin the block, tear your walls down, go ghost, come back again, spin the block again. He just can't get enough of your dumb ass. That's what he can't get enough of. You just being dumb enough to take it back. I'm not trying to call you stupid because we've all been there. Lord knows, I done been there too. But it just...
He not right for you, sis. Come on, man. What we doing, dog? Yeah, but we just have a connection. And you keep letting him in again and again and again. Come on, man. How are we in the month of October? going into November, then December, then January, and he gonna spin a block again on you, after you get what he want, go ghost, and then come back again, and you keep letting it back again.
Because let's be honest, when a woman admits she'd be scared to raise a son because she might mold him into everything she never experienced from a partner, people are going to ask the obvious question: who is she talking about? Cam Newton's history isn't a mystery. Multiple kids, multiple women, public drama, rumors that never really died down. A reputation built on charisma and confidence, but not exactly on consistency or emotional stability. And suddenly, Jasmine's words start sounding less like abstract fear and more like a quiet confession.
I really do not like how the internet tries to make it seem like watch Jazzy, Jasmin Brown, Cam Newton's mother of his children. Y'all be acting like she's the biggest dummy on the internet, and I don't like it. Because when Jada Waiter said she would rather cry in a rape than an Altima, it was tea. When Lil Durk proposed to India, it was couple goals. When Ari and Moneybag Yo, he cheat on her all the time, it's cool. G Herbo and Hyena, it's cool. I feel like you should just say y'all don't like Cam Newton. Like he's not your type. Like he's not the type that you would let cheat on you. That's what you should say. Cause when all the other girls is getting cheated on by they rapper / athlete / they're not the biggest dummy in the world, and every time they post, y'all not at their neck. So why are y'all doing my girl like that? I'm just asking the question. Somebody let me know.
The internet caught it immediately. People weren't just reacting. They were reading between the lines. They heard a woman saying, "I don't feel safe enough emotionally to separate my partner from the idea of masculinity I wish existed." And that's heavy. What made it even more intense is that Jasmine has spent years presenting herself as Cam's biggest defender, the ride or die. The woman who stood tall while rumors swirled. The one who brushed off criticism and stood 10 toes down beside him. So for her to suddenly speak from a place of vulnerability and indirectly admit that she's never really had the kind of man she dreams of, felt like the mask slipping in real time. And social media had no mercy. Some people praised her honesty, saying it takes courage to admit those fears out loud, but a lot more people went straight for the jugular. They said she exposed herself, that she told on her own relationship without meaning to, that she basically admitted she doesn't respect Cam as a man she'd want her son to grow up like. One comment cut especially deep, and it spread like wildfire. She's scared to raise a son because she doesn't want him to turn out like his father. That line alone set the tone. Because now this wasn't just about Jasmine's anxiety, it was about whether she even believes in the man she's building a family with. And once that question enters the chat, everything changes. The more people replayed her words, the clearer it became. This wasn't oversharing. This wasn't a moment of weakness. This was a woman grappling with the reality that she may have tied her life to someone who can't give her the emotional blueprint she wants for her children. And the scariest part? She knows it. She said it herself. That fear comes from knowing she tried to raise a son into the fantasy of a man she never actually experienced. That means the void is real, the disappointment is real, and the love she's missing didn't just disappear. It turned into anxiety. And once the internet smelled that, there was no turning back. Once Jasmine's words started circulating, the conversation stopped being sympathetic and turned surgical. People weren't just reacting to what she said. They were interrogating why she said it now and what it revealed about her reality with Cam Newton. Because the truth is, this wasn't coming from a woman on the outside looking in. This was coming from someone already deep in the situation. 2 children in, years invested, public loyalty on record. And suddenly, she's admitting that the idea of raising a son brings her anxiety instead of excitement. That contradiction is what set the internet off. Fans immediately pulled up her old clips, interviews, podcasts, videos where she spoke confidently about relationships, where she critiqued women for staying in messy situations, where she talked about standards and self-respect. And now, those same clips were being stitched next to her recent confession, creating a narrative she couldn't control anymore. The comments turned brutal. People started saying she told on herself, that she accidentally admitted she doesn't see Cam as a model of the man she'd want her child to become. Others said the fear wasn't about motherhood at all. It was about disappointment finally catching up to her. And once that idea took hold, everything she said started sounding less philosophical and more revealing. One viral comment summed it up perfectly. She's not scared of having a son. She's scared of raising a reminder. That line hit because it reframed everything. It wasn't about gender. It was about legacy. About what gets passed down. About whether she trusts the man beside her to help shape a child into something healthy, stable, and emotionally whole. And that's when the spotlight shifted fully onto Cam's track record. People started lining up the receipts, the history, the multiple children with different women, the public statements, the moments where commitment looked optional. Suddenly, Jasmine's anxiety didn't seem random. It seemed informed, like something learned, not imagined. What made it sting even more is that Jasmin never said Cam's name in her confession. She didn't drag him directly. She didn't accuse him of anything outright. But that silence was louder than any diss could have been. Because when a woman tells you she's afraid of raising a son into the fantasy of a man she never had, the question becomes unavoidable. Why doesn't she believe the man she chose can be that example? That's not internet speculation. That's inference, based on her own words. And the dragging didn't stop there. Some fans pointed out the emotional danger in what she admitted, that no child should ever feel like they're meant to fill a void left by a parent or partner. Others said she was dangerously close to admitting she might project unmet needs onto her children. And while some defended her honesty, saying it takes courage to confront those fears, the majority weren't interested in nuance. They saw irony, and they leaned into it. Because for years, Jasmin positioned herself as different, smarter, more aware. The woman who wouldn't tolerate nonsense, the one who saw red flags and walked away. And now, people felt like they were watching the very cycle she once criticized play out in real time. That's why the reaction felt so unforgiving. This wasn't just about Cam. It was about credibility. Fans started saying she's living proof that knowing better doesn't always mean doing better. That love can make you rationalize things you'd warn your friends about. That confidence can coexist with denial. And once that narrative took off, every detail of her relationship started getting re-examined under a harsher lens. People noticed how often she defended him, how quiet he stayed while she spoke emotionally, how uneven the public vulnerability looked. And slowly, a consensus began forming. Not that Jasmin was weak, but that she might be alone in the emotional labor of that relationship. And that's where the sympathy started to creep back in, quietly. Because beneath the jokes and the dragging, there was an uncomfortable truth sitting in plain sight. This sounded like a woman realizing she settled for less than what she wanted, but feeling too invested to admit it fully. Yep, she didn't say she regrets her children. She didn't say she hates her life. She said she's afraid of repeating a pattern she already recognizes. And that's heavy. The internet can be cruel, but it can also be honest. And in this case, the honesty was cutting. People weren't just reacting to a post. They were reacting to the possibility that Jasmin herself is starting to see cracks she can't unsee anymore. And once you see them, pretending they aren't there gets a lot harder. Because now, every post she makes is going to be read differently. Every caption, every quote, every moment of vulnerability. People aren't listening for inspiration anymore. They're listening for confirmation. And whether she meant to or not, Jasmin Brown shifted the entire narrative with one confession. Not by dragging Cam Newton directly, but by admitting she doesn't want her future defined by the kind of man she's already attached to. And that realization, that's where things usually start to fall apart. And this is where the conversation stops being about a single post and starts becoming about power. Because once Jasmin put that fear into words, she didn't just expose her emotions, she shifted the balance in her relationship without even trying to. The internet immediately clocked it. She's doing all the emotional explaining while Cam Newton stays silent. And in situations like this, silence isn't neutral. It's loud. People began pointing out how familiar this pattern feels. A woman carries the weight publicly, her fears, her honesty, her vulnerability, while the man gets to exist untouched, unexamined, and unbothered. Jasmin is pouring her heart out, unpacking trauma, acknowledging cycles. And Cam, he doesn't have to say a word. His reputation does the talking for him. That imbalance is what made people uncomfortable. Because the more Jasmin explained herself, the clearer it became that she's carrying far more than her share of the emotional labor. She's the one reflecting. She's the one self-correcting. She's the one worried about how her choices might affect her children down the line. And that made people ask the quiet question out loud. Where is Cam in all of this? Not physically, Bub, but emotionally. The comments started shifting from dragging to diagnosis. People weren't just mocking her anymore. They were naming the dynamic, saying she's overinvested, saying she's trying to intellectualize pain instead of addressing its source, saying she's explaining herself because deep down she knows something isn't right but isn't ready to walk away. And that's the hardest place to be, because leaving isn't always about lack of love. Sometimes it's about lack of safety, emotional safety, consistency, trust. And Jasmin's words didn't sound like someone who feels grounded. They sounded like someone bracing themselves, already anticipating disappointment before it happens. That's why the son conversation hit such a nerve. It wasn't about gender. It was about fear of repetition. Fear of raising a child inside a dynamic she herself doesn't feel fully protected in. Fear of teaching values she doesn't see modeled consistently. And when a woman starts thinking that far ahead, it usually means the present already feels unstable. People also started drawing parallels to Cam's past relationships. Not to be messy, but to be honest. The same themes kept popping up: distance, lack of commitment, emotional detachment. Different women, same outcome. And suddenly, Jasmin didn't look like an exception anymore. She looked like the latest chapter. That realization is brutal, because nobody wants to believe they're part of a pattern, especially not when kids are involved, especially not after investing years of loyalty, defending someone publicly, and building your identity around being the one who understands him. And that's where the sympathy came back in, quietly. Underneath all the jokes, people started acknowledging something uncomfortable. Jasmin might be waking up to a truth she's been avoiding. Not that Cam is a villain, not that she made a mistake having children, but that the relationship she imagined and the relationship she's actually living might not be the same thing. And once that realization settles in, everything feels heavier. Because now she has to choose what to do with it. Does she keep explaining herself to the internet, hoping honesty will bring clarity? Does she retreat, go quiet, and protect what little peace she has left? Or does she eventually confront the source of that fear head on, privately or publicly? Right now, she's standing in the in-between, still loyal, still present, still defending, but also cracking, letting things slip, saying the quiet part out loud without fully meaning to. And the internet sees it. They see a woman who knows better but feels stuck, who recognizes the cycle but hasn't found the exit yet, who loves her children deeply but is terrified of repeating history through them. And whether people admit it or not, that hits close to home for a lot of folks watching. Because this isn't just celebrity drama. It's about what happens when love, loyalty, and self-awareness collide. And you don't know which one to choose first. Jasmin Brown didn't drag Cam directly. She didn't call him out by name. She didn't air explicit grievances. But sometimes the most revealing thing a person can do is talk honestly about their fears. Because fears don't come from nowhere. They come from experience. And now that she said it out loud, there's no unsaying it. Every move forward will be read through that lens. Every silence will feel intentional. Every post will be dissected for meaning. Because once the internet decides a mask slipped, it never stops watching the face underneath. If you're rocking with this breakdown, hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe, and see ya on the next.